Well, welcome everybody to the podcast. In this again, we've got the dual podcast running. So we've got Lead from the Driver's Seat with Al Rattan and my Maximize Your Potential podcast from my business, Release Your Unconscious, and that's Chris Baker. And so if you listened to last week, which I hope you did, but if you listened to last week, you'll have heard our introduction to leadership, where Al and I just shared, some of our experiences and some of our knowledge, and hopefully whetted your appetite a little bit to dive deeper into leadership. And I guess if you're here today, we must have piqued your interest. What do you think, Al?
Well, I hope we piqued their interest. I mean, we're going to put some effort into this, and we're going to show up weekly, and at least that's our plan, anyways, to show up weekly and just share some of our insights and give you hopefully some takeaways that you can go and apply in your own life immediately to help you grow your leadership, your influence, and grow yourself and your teams for more effective, so you can have a more effective organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said last week, and actually we did get some feedback, which is great. As that's what we want. So if you're listening to this, I think, Al, you put it on YouTube as well, so you may be watching it on YouTube. But either way, reach out to Al or myself, or both of us, and share your thoughts. Right, ask your questions as well. If you didn't quite understand something that we talked about, a concept, and you want us to dive even deeper into it, ask a question. Right, we'll be more than happy to bring that up. So tonight, what we're going to talk about leadership lids. All right, and some of you may be saying, "Well, what are you talking about?" Well, that's why you're here. We're going to teach you. Right, so leadership lids. So Al, from my perspective, what I was thinking of when I see this is the lids we put on leadership potential. All right. Now that can be twofold. All right. And what most people think about, and our friend and mentor John Maxwell talks about the law of the lid when he's talking about the lids that we put on the potential that we see in other people, which is one side of it. The other side of it is what are the lids that we put on ourselves?
That's so good. And I don't think that's talked about enough, really, because we do have these lids that we do put on our own potential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
We do. And I'm reading The Greatest Secret at the moment, right? The latest Rhonda Byrne book. And it's fascinating, to be honest, about what we truly are inside. We're naturally happy, and we've got all of this these good feelings, but we allow the negative thoughts to cause limiting beliefs that we then start to believe, and then we behave that way. And I think leadership lids is another example of that, right? So can you think back, you've got like I have sort of 30 years of leadership experience. Can you think of times of when you've sort of put a lid on somebody else's potential? No, let's change that.
Okay.
Let's talk about times where we've put lids on our own potential.
Oh, so many examples.
Right.
And you know what? The one that immediately comes to mind, and you may not think of this normally as a lid on your own potential, but a lid for me was, and Chris, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but the need for approval from others.
Yep.
Okay. And that impacted me in a lot. Like, honestly, up until a few years ago, if somebody would unsubscribe from my email list and I knew them well,
right,
I would be like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
What's going on? Did I say something offensive? Or seeking the approval of others with, always asking after a workshop or after a mastermind group or after a training, what did you think? How did I do? Right? Not trying to go about it a roundabout way, not saying, please tell me how great I was, but, so what did you think of the workshop? I really want your feedback. Really, I wanted the praise. And this was this need that I had for the approval of others. And I think that put a lid on my ability to really effectively serve other people, because I was constantly needing and craving this positive attention or positive feedback.
Yeah, no, I can echo that, and I think that's a typical sort of feeling, to be honest, with a lot of people, and it's one of those feelings that, again, I would say is a negative thought that comes in, because what we're doing effectively is we're asking ourselves, are we good enough, right?
Exactly.
Are we worthy?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
am I, you know, especially if we're charging people for a mastermind group or a training session or whatever, it's like, you know, why should they pay me? What have I got that they're learning from? And so we're starting to sort of doubt ourselves.
Exactly. And then what does that do? That spirals us down into that pit of depression or, self-loathing or whatever, all these other things, that these feelings and emotions that come to the surface when we start doubting our skill set and our ability, seeking the approval of others, and then allowing, before we even get feedback from others, we're already beating ourselves up mentally with our thought processes in a lot of cases. And that's going to take us down into that pit of despair as well.
Yeah, it's true. And if we think about it in the context of what we're talking about today with the lids, the leadership lids,
Mhm.
we're putting that lid on ourselves because we're questioning whether we are good enough, right? So where our potential, if we think of the scale of 1 to 10, right? 1 is where we're absolutely awful, and 10 is where we're superb, right? We have all got the potential to be a 10, right?
Absolutely.
Ourselves and everybody that we lead, everybody that we influence. And we've talked already about how leadership is influence. So, you know, whether you're a leader in your title or not, you are a leader because you influence at least one other person every single day, and more likely tens or dozens of people.
Exactly.
So if we start to doubt ourselves and question ourselves, what we're effectively doing is, instead of saying that we're a 10, we're saying we're a 7 or a 6 or a 5.
Mhm.
And therefore, what happens is we will only ever perform to that level. We
Exactly.
don't believe that we're, you know, truly believe that we're worth more than that. And then what happens, the knock-on effect of that is that the people that we are leading will also never perform above a 5.
Exactly. It's not possible because we can't take them there.
Correct. You know, that as a leader, that means that people are following you,
Mhm.
right? And if you're following an example of a 5, you think that's as good as it can get.
Absolutely. I'd like to ask a question right now, and I know nobody can. No, I know no one can give their feedback right now because we're recording this and we're going to post it
Right.
later. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, and maybe, or even just private message us. Like I know for the longest time, I could not see myself as anything more than average. And if we're using that 1 to 10 scale, or even a
Yeah.
0 to 10 scale, then 5 is going to be average. And if we're seeing ourselves at a 5 or lower,
Yeah.
then we're saying we're average or below average. And that's a mindset issue. And I'd love to hear, not to say, oh, good, that person's only a 4 and I feel like I'm a 6, but I want to hear from you because I want to be able to encourage you, and I want you to hear my words. And Chris has already alluded to this. We all have the potential to
Mhm.
get to that 10, but that's going to take some work on our mindset and our own belief systems in ourself and our skill set and our ability. And that may mean that maybe we need to grow ourselves. We need to
Yeah.
research and develop ourselves in certain areas where we find those weaknesses. But I want everybody that's listening to realize that you are definitely above average. You have great value.
Right. Wise words, Al. I think, and I think you know, the comment may come back, well, hang on a minute, if everybody is above average, then how can they be, because there's average? Well, let me answer that. If that's what you're thinking, the fact that you're listening to this podcast or you're watching this YouTube and you're listening to us talk about it tells us that you're above average,
Absolutely.
right? Because there are many people that won't take the time to listen, all right, won't take the time to learn, won't take the time to look at themselves and say, I am worthy, right? I am
Exactly.
capable of more. I can achieve whatever I want to in life. All right. Now, the thing is as well, we're not all going to achieve the same things.
Exactly.
That's good, right? Because
And
if
it is good. And I think I went through a great exercise a number of years ago during a course, and one of the exercises was for us to define success in our own words,
yeah,
right? And that's a great exercise for you too out there listening. Define success in your own words,
hmm
because your definition of success and my definition of it and Chris's definition of it are going to be completely different. And then we need to measure ourselves on the scale for what we want to achieve as success, right? So maybe for somebody it's to have $1 million in the bank and you don't, so you're seeing yourself as a 3 or 4 because you don't have the money. But maybe to me, maybe it's only earning $100,000 a year, and if I do that, then I'm meeting my level of success if we're defining it in monetary terms. So I'm
yeah,
a 10.
yeah,
Right. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about this. Define success in your own words and then measure yourself against that. And if you're not achieving that, then there's your opportunity for growth.
yeah. I agree 100%. And I'll say again, in the spirit of vulnerability, out like you shared earlier, right? I'll share that my history has all been about chasing that dollar, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
in my example, the pound, of course, in the UK. But I was in the sales environment in the UK and management within car dealerships, and so I was always chasing the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thinking that that was what made me successful. That is what would make me happy. That is what would show that I was reaching my potential. And I can tell you, I was wrong, right? And again, that's just for me, right? For other people, it may be that you want that $1 million, you want that six-figure income. I can honestly say, hand on heart, that that is not my motivation. Right, my motivation of success and my definition of success is more around my inner peace, my happiness,
Mm-hmm.
the sort of work life harmony, right? And I specifically call it harmony, not a balance, because a balance means it's even, and it isn't even,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It never will be even. So, but what it means is that I work because I want to work. I do what I do because I want to do it, not because I have
Right.
to do it. Now, it doesn't
Right.
mean that I don't have to work and earn any money. I do, right? But I'm not working chasing the dollar. And I'll give you an example. I had a conversation today, and somebody was talking to me about a position, and they said, what would the figure need to be for you to be interested in that position? And I said, that's not my motivation. It's not about what it's going to pay. It's about how it's going to make me feel, right? And
Right.
how much value I can bring to that position. And I know through experience over the last couple of years, and through studying and reading and studying books that talk about your inner happiness and the law of attraction and all of those things, right? Which we can get
Mm-hmm.
into in future episodes.
Absolutely.
Once you are in harmony with yourself, right? You love yourself. You find that state of happiness which is within us naturally. Other things will come to you, right? Good,
Absolutely.
good things, right? Whereas
Absolutely.
whereas if you are in that situation that the majority are, where you're putting a lid on something and you're talking about maybe what you don't want or what you're not good at, right? And you're doubting those things, what you're attracting is exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So other
Mm-hmm.
people will start doubting you because you're doubting yourself. Other people
Absolutely.
stop believing in you because you're not believing in yourself.
Yeah. And why would they? Why would they?
Exactly.
If I'm showing up and showing you that I have no value and no belief in myself, it takes, then the odds of anybody else, and like if I wouldn't invest in me, why would anybody else invest in me?
Correct.
It's a simple question. And talking about the definition of success and backtracking for a minute, mine has been, and from that exercise, I put in there, my definition of success is not the amount of money I have in my bank or the amount of toys I have in my backyard, but it's having the love and respect of the people that, my family first, and then the people I come into contact with and the people I serve in my business. And if I have, if I've earned their respect,
hmm
because of the way I conduct myself, my character, my integrity, um, then that to me is success.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe it. Again, showing up in a way like that with integrity, with great character, serving your clients well, And then the money is going to be the reward, the byproduct of doing that.
Correct. Yeah, money is not the motivator. Money is the byproduct. You're exactly right.
Exactly. And I can vouch for Chris's character in this, because he has served and served and served. And I know that his reward will be great, because he's served and served and served. He's got a heart for youth of youth of the United States and of the world, and serving them and helping them reach their potential, and then now serving this community here that we're creating. So,
yeah.
anyways,
No, I appreciate
I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you.
And that respect and feelings are mutual, and admiration is mutual. That's why we're doing this together, and I think that's why it works, right? Because we also raise each other up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that brings me to that point as well. There with who do you want to work with or work for? Do you want to work for somebody that sees you as having unlimited potential and sees themselves as having unlimited potential and raises you up to be the best you can be? Whatever it is you want to do, it doesn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, and I've got cast members on my team that are perfectly happy doing what they do, and they want to do it for the rest of their career and retire.
And great.
I love that, right?
Love
as
it.
long as they're happy with what they're doing.
Exactly.
Right? Want to be happy. I've got others that want to grow and develop within our team. I've got others that want to grow and develop outside of our team. Now, and either of those things, all of those things is great. And that as a leader, that's what I see is my role, is to lift that lid and help other people realize their potential. Right?
Absolutely.
Understanding that they're never going to reach it because it's unlimited. Right?
Yes, exactly. And I think I love what John said. He says he wants to see everybody, when he meets somebody, he sees a 10 on their forehead. Like, imagine seeing a 10 on their forehead, right? That maximum, that your full potential person, right? And he says until they give you a reason not to see a 10. But I mean, like, I want to show up and I want to see a 10 on people's foreheads. And I think sometimes, too often, as leaders, and I've done this in my career, somebody makes a mistake, somebody does something wrong, and all of a sudden that level of belief or trust in them diminishes. And even though it may just been like a one-off mistake, but then you're always kind of just, checking in, double checking their work, making sure, and I think that sometimes we allow these maybe misconceptions, or the way somebody carries themselves, or the way they speak, or the way they dress, for us, judge a book by a cover. Come on, everybody, admit you've done it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? As much as we say we wouldn't do it, we've all done it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. And you lower your expectations of the potential of that person.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think we're doing them a disservice, and we're doing us a disservice, because we don't know what incredible, it's a really quick story. So I used to work in an electronics retailer. It was commission based. Our base salary was basically minimum wage, and then we earned commissions to make more money. And I had a customer come in one day, and this store that I worked in, we had to wear a suit. The only time we were allowed to remove our jacket was when we were merchandising stock or receiving a truck, but we wore suits to work. And so this gentleman comes in one day, and he was filthy head to toe, unshaven, baseball cap on, jeans. They were ripped or dirty. It was a long time ago, but he was very unclean. Right.
Yeah.
And the other salespeople sort of did the nose up and didn't go talk to him.
Yeah.
Well, I went up and talked to him, and it turns out I heard a little bit of a story, and he was actually a landlord. He owned multiple homes in the city that he rented out, and that was one of his days. He was just doing some work on one of the houses. He drove by the store, and he thought, hey, I need to buy a new TV. He came in and he bought two 46-inch TVs. Now, these were Sony projection models. So for those young ones, you won't know what it is, go look it up. But projection television. So this massive wood. Anyways, they were about, I don't know, they were like $8,000 each or something like that. He bought two with cash, one for him and one for his kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I made my full month's commission quota, like to get full commission on anything else I sold that month, with that one sale.
Yeah.
And nobody else talked to him because they judged.
Yep.
But yet I talked to him. I got the sale and sold him $16,000 worth of stuff. And I think we do the same thing with people when we come into contact with them. we're putting that lid on their potential by appearance, tone of voice, body language, whatever
Right.
else, when we should be giving them the opportunity to shine.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I could share two examples almost exactly the same as what you've just shared, and from
Mhm.
England. So it happens all over the world, folks that are listening. It happens all over the world. It's
Absolutely.
human nature. It's wrong, but it's human nature. So
Absolutely.
and the thing as well, like you're describing there, we're in that situation, we're judging somebody else and putting a lid on them. But what it's
Absolutely.
actually saying, it's not saying anything about them. It's saying something about us,
Absolutely. That great point.
because
Absolutely.
we're putting that lid on there,
Yes.
right? So we can take that off, and when we do, we'll find gold, right? Because the potential is everywhere for people to be, and that's again why I'll call my podcast "Maximize Your Potential," because we all can do that. And yours lead from the driver's seat again, exactly the same thing. You're leading, you're showing people the way to go. You're showing
Absolutely.
them the route, and that's what we want to do with this. And so, I think if we wrap this up, let's leave the listeners with a task, Alan. I think one of the things you touched on would be a great task. In fact, I think we can give them two. I think one
Sure.
of them is for you to define your success.
Define your definition of success
Yeah,
in your own words.
yeah. So what would it be? And again, don't just like pick a pen or go on your phone and write something down quickly. Really dive into it and think about it,
Mhm.
right? And when you think about it and say, whatever you come up with, why do you feel that is success? Right? What difference would that make to you, to your family, to the people around you? What difference is it going to make to your kids, your grandkids, right? In other words, a legacy. Why do you want that success, what to be defined as you've done it? And if you
Yes.
can't put meat around that, right, and if it doesn't raise emotions and get you feeling maybe a little tearful or whatever and excited, you
Mhm.
haven't dug deep enough.
Exactly.
Right, so go again.
Exactly. That's great.
And then the other thing that you can do is look at yourself and evaluate yourself and say, where do I see my potential honestly at the moment? Right. In other words, where is my lid on myself?
Right.
Yeah.
And identify there could be multiple lids you've put on yourself too. So which lids are really affecting you, right?
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
and maybe it is just in your skill to be an effective leader. Maybe it's in your communication abilities. Maybe it's in your self-belief.
Hmm.
What lids have you allowed to been, and maybe the lids you've allowed these lids to be placed on you by others, by the words spoken by them, and you've
Right.
taken it as truth.
You believe it. Yeah.
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 So evaluate those lids that you've put on yourself, and Chris and I want to hear from you. So I mean,
Yeah.
you can alratan.com for me, or Facebook, Al
Great.
Rattan, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, wherever it is, message us. And Chris Baker, find him.
Yeah.
What's your Facebook page called again? Release Your Unconscious.
Release your unconscious,
Yeah.
or again, where we'll post the links to
I'll
the.
post links there.
So just go into the bottom of those and just
Yeah.
comment, whether that's on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube,
Comment,
wherever you.
message us. We want to hear from you and we want to encourage you.
Yeah, because that's the only way we grow. Right,
Absolutely.
the only way we grow. And everybody listening, I promise you that Al and I can help you grow, as long as you want to do it
100%.
yourself, right?
100%.
And as long as you put the effort in yourself. We
Because I used to be a horrible mess of emotions and
we
limiting beliefs, right? So now I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and I've worked through a lot of stuff with that with my own coach, to be honest. So, and if I hadn't, I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast right now.
Yeah, and the truth is, occasionally we'll dip back into it, right? The difference is we've got people
Absolutely.
around us that lift us back up
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
ask us, "Why are you feeling that way? Do you really feel that way?" And it's like, "No, I don't." Okay.
exactly.
So that's what we want to do. So Al,
Awesome.
great conversation. I know we
Yeah,
sort
thanks,
of
brother.
I thought we'd go like 15 minutes. It's 24 minutes now. It just shows
Yeah, I
that
see that.
what we
Sorry, folks. I hope you got value out of it, but thank you for tuning in.
yeah, yeah.
And we'll be
We
back
will
next week, right?
absolutely. We're gonna dive more into leadership topics, one each week. And again, we'll just keep going. We'll add value to you. It's up to you if you pick up and run with it. But we appreciate your time, and we look forward to sharing more time with you.
Amazing. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.